Hi everybody, welcome back to the second episode of The Silver Lining. Thank you so much for watching. Today I have a very, very, very special guest. This is my queen, my idol. I have known her for 4 or 5 years now, since my first year competing as a teen. She was one of my very first sister queens and has absolutely always been an inspiration to me. I have all her accomplishments written down, so excuse me for looking down because there's just a lot, so I want to get them all correct. She was top 10 at Miss Florida, and this might be an exaggeration, but she has won an interview at like literally every pageant I've ever seen her in. So you can obviously tell that she's great at that. She works for the Big Sky Conference as the Director of Broadcast and Digital Media for 11 Division I colleges. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I covered the athletics for 11 different universities.
I didn't want to mess that up because I'm not a sports.
No, that was great. That was great.
She graduated Magna Cum Laude at FAU with a dual bachelor's in criminal justice and communication studies. And she was the Owl TV Reporter of the Year, and she is one of the best friends I've ever had. Please welcome Mariluz.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Juliette.
And thank you for coming with your busy schedule. Actually, Mariluz and I recorded an interview last Friday. It was an hour long, and for some reason it didn't get both of us, which I don't know why, but she graciously agreed to do it with me again, because talking to me for an hour is just like, you're guaranteed to like get like blown up with me talking on and on. So thank you for doing that for me, Mariluz.
Oh my gosh, of course.
So I wanted to start out with, like I said, how I introduced you. You were my sister queen in the beginning, and you have always been there for me and a mentor. And before I get into that, I want to know more about how you started in pageantry, what inspired you, and how did you discover the Miss America pageant?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Miss America organization was something that I was always very aware of. I don't remember a year of my life in which I didn't watch the Miss America pageant. Grew up watching it, grew up looking up to Miss Americas and knowing that I wanted to compete for, for Miss America, hopefully one day. But just as soon as I was old enough to be a local title holder, I knew I wanted to go for that. So my family's business was actually the sponsor for Miss Palm Beach County for like 40 years. So I grew up specifically going to that local pageant. That was my first ever pageant that I competed in, Miss Palm Beach County. I had just turned 18 years old. And pretty sure I came in dead last in that pageant, if I'm being totally honest with you. It took me 6 different tries before I actually won my first title of Miss Fort Lauderdale in 2016, which is where I met you. So
yes,
it was something that I always wanted to be a part of. I always had it as a part of my life. I always looked up to those women, and that's why I wanted to compete, because I wanted to be that same role model that I had found in so many title holders.
And I forgot to mention about Mariluz, another one of her accomplishments. She actually was the Miss South Florida Fair 2018 before me, or 2019 rather, I'm sorry. Yeah. And she crowned me, which was such a full circle moment, guys, because she started out with me and then she crowned me, and I just remember being so nervous, like so scared, and she was like looking at me the whole time. And then it actually got posted on the news, because all Miss South Florida Fair winners are posted on the news, and we just like hug each other. It's like my favorite video ever.
It was such a special moment.
It really was. I was like
so full circle.
Yeah, she helped me calm down quite a bit, because I was like looking at her every 2 seconds. I was like, and she was like, "It's gonna be okay, but you should look like that who they're gonna crown."
Well, it's easy to say that when I wasn't the one competing. Like, calm down, it's fine. I know how it is on the other side.
I was watching other pageants, I'm like, "Girl, you got this. Just rock that stage." But I'm like bawling. I'm like, "Mariluz, help!" But when I tell you that Mariluz has always been there for me, that's just not an exaggeration. Actually, my first year of doing pageants ever as a teen, I was Miss Broward County teen when I was 14, which will be 5 years ago this February.
That's so crazy.
And she actually wrote me a guide, like with her pageant tips and tricks and just lessons about, succeeding. Because like I said, she always placed so highly in an interview. And her walk, guys, our pageant director, Miss Brenda Edwards, she said that she like walks like a panther across the stage. Like her walk.
I love that analogy. Wow.
I know. And nice. She's like walk like a Victoria's Secret model. And so she wrote me this whole guide, and it's actually a binder, like I think it's like pretty big, and I saved it still to this day, but she wrote that all out for me, and that's how I knew Mariluz was a very hardworking type A person, because it was all organized, okay, like literally like a scroll of just like Roman numerals, bullet points, and I was like, wow. But she did that for me, and she should honestly sell it, because it's that accurate and that good.
That is so kind. Wow.
But I know that you also, before Miss Fort Lauderdale, you competed in a couple other pageants. And I want to know what that experience was like for you before you won, because you are so resilient. I know I've lost locals myself, but you lost a couple and you still kept trying. And then you became top 10 at Miss Florida. So you came such a long way. And I want to know how, like, you kept going. What drove your perseverance? And also, what was the best moment for you within that time?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So the thing that really kept me going was just knowing that I have this goal, right? That I've had since I was a little girl, this dream that I've had since I was a little girl. And so it's something that always keeps me going. Like I have this intrinsic motivation because I know how I felt watching Miss America as a little girl. And I envision those moments, those crowning moments, like the first time ever being crowned as Miss Fort Lauderdale. Those were moments that I envisioned. And it's just having that vision for yourself. I think like envisioning yourself being crowned Miss Florida or being crowned Miss America, that is what drives me. And I mean, when you talk about the best moment, I think that every single year I found that there have just been so many sweet moments. And aside from just all of the friendships, just seeing hard work pay off, right? So 6 titles I competed for before I even won one. So it was like, I'd go and I'd find myself getting better and better, like placing for the first time. I'll never forget that, placing first runner up over and over and over before actually winning my title. It was those little moments where I knew I was getting a little bit closer to my goal that kept me going too. So before I was top 10, I was top 15 twice. And you talk about the interview awards. It was little things like that that kept me going, like, okay, like I'm going in the right direction in these certain areas. What can I do to improve in these other areas? I'm a person that I always try to look at myself and recognize that I can always be better. And so just trying to refine different areas of myself just so that I could keep getting better and better. Like, I don't think that I've reached the greatest version of myself yet. And I think that's the beauty of pageantry, is that you're always like unfinished, right? Like there's always something greater that you can do, and you can just keep becoming a better version of yourself. And I think that's the beauty of pageantry, is that it's such a catalyst for growth. And just looking back at who I was when I was 18 years old and I first started competing, I'm such a different person, and I'm so proud of that. So just thankful for all the little moments. But I think making top 10 and getting to compete in the finals at Miss Florida this year was just so special when I look back on all my 5 years so far in the organization.
And Mariluz is currently in Utah with the Big Sky Conference, like I mentioned in her introduction, and we'll touch on that later, because that's a whole very exciting journey that I had heard about before, but it's a great story. But she will be competing again because I will make her. Anyway, moving on. No, you actually reached out to me when I had lost local, because I was very discouraged. I think I lost 3. And that had come after winning Miss Broward teen and Miss Fort Lauderdale teen on my 2 first tries. So it's not that I got too confident, but it's that it was very shocking to me to have lost, and it was a hard pill for me to swallow, and I was very discouraged, and I felt like giving up. But you actually reached out to me and told me to keep being motivated and told me to keep going. And that, to have you crown me after that and to win a pageant of the caliber of Miss South Florida Fair, I mean, you know how intense it is. And you motivated me through that, so I thank you for that, because I'll never forget that. And another one of the requirements for being a Miss Florida contestant or a Miss America contestant in general is to have a social impact initiative, also known as a platform. Yeah. And your platform touched on depression, so I'd like to know more about that. You're a very passionate advocate for it, and you still advocate for it, even though you're taking a hiatus from pageantry for your career right now.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I knew that depression awareness was the issue that I wanted to address and that I wanted to advocate for, because when I was a sophomore in high school, I had an uncle who took his own life due to a struggle with depression that I was totally unaware of. He was the happiest, the funniest person. I loved spending time with him and his family. And so I was so taken aback that someone who was just so joyful, so happy, so funny could struggle with something like that. It was something that really rocked my world and made me realize how prevalent depression is. And when I started to do my research and I realized just how much of a need there was to bring light to that subject, specifically in the state of Florida, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that that was the issue that I wanted to advocate for. I mean, Florida is 49th out of all the states in the terms of mental health care funding that is allocated to each of its citizens, which to me is really troubling. And so I know that there's so much work to be done in this state. So getting to hold the titles that I've had, the 4 titles, getting to advocate for that, to partner alongside organizations like the National Alliance on Mental Illness, has been so special, and just getting to bring light to that has been so significant to me, and something that I really hold so dearly to my heart, because it is literally anyone who could be struggling. And it's so important that we're all aware, because I can tell you that prior to my uncle's passing, I didn't know how prominent depression was, and I really didn't understand that literally anyone could struggle with it at any point.
Right.
Like, it does not discriminate. It does not discriminate. So that for me is why I chose that as my social impact initiative.
And I think that's very inspiring that you took a personal experience and transformed it into this, you know, amazing platform that inspired so many people. And like you said, you know, it could happen to anybody, but I feel like people don't know that. And also, I don't think depression is talked about in the public enough. And our own state, you said, the lack of mental funding is quite a travesty, if I may say so. 49th is obviously extremely low.
Not fantastic.
No,
right?
it's not. It's pretty low. And, you know, so I think your platform's amazing. And like I said, you're so passionate about it because you went through it and you lost your family member to it, which I'm so sorry. But you took that experience and you made it into something that raised awareness. And I think that's so inspiring. And that's one of the things I love about you, is that you always find a positive spin on things. And you're raising awareness for such an important cause, which I appreciate. And it's regardless of whether you're going to be competing on a stage or not, I know that it's something that you'll always advocate for.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to talk about, before we move on to your sports casting career. Is that what you can even call it? Sports broadcasting?
Sports broadcasting, yeah.
Fancy. I have one more question. And I just to say this, a little disclaimer for you, I do want to do a second Zoom interview with you. I know that already because I'm so busy with your schedule, but I want to just do an interview solely about your pageant tips, because when I tell you guys, it's like my holy grail. It's like my pageant Bible. But yeah, so I want to move on from that. But my last question is about pageants, at least. You competed in last year. You competed in 2019, correct?
Yes.
So that was the year when everything was kind of changing. The Miss America before that became Miss America 2.0, and you were in the midst of that huge change. And I want to know what that was like handling that for you, because, you know, we both know how fabulous you are in swimsuit. When I tell you guys, this girl's like a model. She is a model. She rocks swimsuit. And her fitness journey is also, I want to talk about that in another call too, because that is just a whole other story, and it's amazing. But I want to know what that was like for you going through that change. I know you are so passionate about the organization, and even the few years I was in it before it got changed, we both knew the organization very well, and all of a sudden it changed. So I want to know what that experience competing in that new system was like for you, and what your thoughts on it were, and how you handled it.
Yeah, so let me just start off talking about what swimsuit did for me briefly. The lifestyle and fitness portion of competition was so special for me. You know, I mentioned that ever since I was a little girl that I wanted to compete in the Miss America organization. That was a goal that I knew as soon as I was old enough to do it, I was going to do it. And I knew that the swimsuit portion of competition was very much a part of it. So, you know, I talked about analyzing ways in which I could be better. And so I'm thinking, okay, like maybe lifestyle and fitness is something that I need to place more emphasis on. And it is because of that category that I totally changed the way that I was living.
Totally changed.
Yeah. Like I did not exercise. I did not eat well. I was eating junk food pretty much every day, and totally changed the way that I was eating, the way that I exercised, and felt so good about my body. And I wasn't working out necessarily or eating a certain way to look a certain way. It was just because I was always told that swimsuit is one from here up, you know, in your face, the confidence that you have. So I never felt like I was being judged on my body or anything like that. It was just how I felt. And for me, leading a true lifestyle of fitness and health was what was going to make me feel good from here up, right? Like glow from the inside, feel confident. So I loved competing in swimsuit. That was something that I worked so hard for. So I really enjoyed all of those moments. But I still do feel that the Miss America organization is placing emphasis on fitness and health just in a different way. So I have to say, honestly, I miss the swimsuit portion of competition. I will never say that I don't, because it was one of my favorite areas of competition. That and interview, which just absolutely loved. So I miss it for sure. So competing at Miss Florida for the first time without swimsuit was so strange. But, you know, we talk about winning Miss South Florida Fair last year. I knew that was the last time. that I would be walking in a swimsuit on a stage.
Right. That was the last time, and you knew that, I'm guessing.
I did know that. So I was just so excited. I remember putting more, just feeling and just really soaking that in more than any other swimsuit walk that I had, because I knew that that was going to be my last one. So I'll never forget that. It was so much fun. I'm thankful for all of those moments and to exude my confidence in a swimsuit. So proud of what I've worked really hard for. But I'm also thankful for the opportunities that there are now to speak more on our platforms, because a big part of being Miss America or Miss Florida or a local title holder is public speaking. So I'm really thankful for those opportunities where we're thrown questions. We have no idea what we're going to be asked, but do have the opportunity to speak more. Because again, I do love the interview portion of competition. So I'm thankful that, you know, at least there's more of an area that I like, right?
And I'm so happy you touched on a little bit of your fitness journey, but guys, there's like a whole saga of her transformation. And I think me relating to this high school food, what are you going to do about it? And fries, Cokes, I fell victim to that too. But Mariluz actually, a part of her pageant Bible is also fitness things that she did. Because when I tell you she transformed, this girl was always beautiful, but she's like a VS model. My mom calls her a VS model. So I'm not kidding. She is incredibly inspiring, and you know, you encouraged me so much. So I think your story is pretty incredible, and you know, that's why I knew that, because swimsuit transformed you. It's not even about, because you do well in every category with your talent, which I lied. That's another pageant question I had to ask. But you're strong in interview, you're strong in talent. So it wasn't even about that category that you needed. It was just that it meant so much to you, and it helped transform you. And honestly, I would be very sad too. I mean, I never got to compete in swimsuit, but I know that fitness and team for me was a really exciting part, albeit very different. It's not walking in a swimsuit on stage, but it's showing, you know, your fitness level and also being confident from here up.
Exactly.
You know? And it's what fitness meant to you, although I think people would describe you as fit across the board. I think everyone would be like, that girl has a good body.
Thank you so much. That's very sweet.
So I want to actually talk about your piano now. Your piano piece, I remember what it's called, but I don't want to butcher the pronunciation.
Yeah.
Yes, I was not going to get that right. But I want to know, you told me about how much you practice. And I mean, not only do I want to know about your talent itself, but I want to, you could just give us like a little wisdom, because you gave me wisdom when you said I practiced for, you know, so many hours a day and wouldn't stop practicing until I felt confident to perform on the Miss Florida stage. So I really want to hear about that.
Yeah, so for me, and this is with everything, this is with swimsuit, this is with interview, this is with talent. For me, I know that in order to feel good and to feel confident, I have to kill it in my preparations. I have to put in so many hours so that when I get on stage, I'm like, I deserve to feel good about what I'm about to do, because I put in the work when it mattered before in my preparations. You can't just show up to Miss Florida and be like, okay, I'm here. Like, absolutely not. Like, it takes so much preparation. And that was something that I realized every single year. I was like, you know what? I prepared, but I could do more. I prepared, but I could do more here. I could do more there. So especially last year, talent honestly was the area that I would say I struggled with the most, but I felt so good going into Miss Florida last year and performing Malagania, because I knew there were hours and hours that I had put in every single day. I remember having a conversation with last year's Miss Florida, Taylor Tyson, and she was
Shout out to Taylor, we love you too.
Taylor. She was like, are you willing to practice for an hour every single day? And I was like, yes. Okay. So for months and months and months, it was an hour, if not more. Some days it was 2, some days it was 3, but at least an hour every single day I dedicated to practicing that piece. I was actually, the other day, I was trying to play it with my eyes closed. It wasn't fantastic.
I love that.
But it was, I mean, yeah. And I mean, honestly, it's such great practice, but I mean, it was like so many times that I played that piece, and that piece itself was just so, it was and is so significant to me. I'm half Cuban, and so that's such a big part of my culture. My mom was born in Cuba, came here when she was 7 years old.
Mariluz's mom. I love Mariluz's mom.
Love her. Look, there she is in the kitchen.
Oh my god!
I don't know what
Oh my god! It's a super celebrity setting.
She is. Little shout out, little cameo. Oh, she's doing the wave.
I didn't even think we'd have a celebrity guest on today. You should have told me. You didn't bring that on me, so I could have prepared.
Maybe I should leave and let her take over.
Like that.
But yeah, so that piece is actually by a Cuban composer, Ernesto Lacuna, And I love his music. I think he's such an incredible composer. He's so talented. And so to play that piece really was like showing a piece of my culture. It really was like a part of me. And so it was so much more than just a performance. It was really, really special getting to perform that. And then of course, with all the preparation, to feel really good about how I performed it too.
Yes, and she even like wore like a little like flower in her hair, like all like salsa. Latinas represent.
Like all like salsa.
And Peruvian Mariluz is Cuban, Latinas, South Florida Latinas, you know, we rock it. But yes, your talent is amazing, and you also gave me so much advice with talent too, because you were there for a lot of the Miss South Florida Fair rehearsals. Guys, she actually flew back from Utah for the pageant day and flew back the day after. She's so sweet. I can't. And she and I bonded the whole time backstage when I was basically hyperventilating, but that's another story. But she told me, you know, I was telling her I'm so nervous for my performance, and you know, I remember you saying, like, you're telling me your story about how you practiced and how Taylor gave you advice, and you're passing it down Miss South Florida after Miss South Florida Fair, which is so sweet. So when I was in rehearsals, I was still nervous about it because, you know, although I sing opera often, it's a very difficult song, and singing in Italian is never really a comforting thought.
But you killed it.
But I practiced every day, and I felt so much more confident. And I feel like, you know, once I won Miss South Florida Fair, it's because I brought it. Every part of myself, I brought it. You know,
totally did.
And so you give me so much advice. I keep saying that, like, but you have given me advice on every aspect of pageantry and just life lessons in general. So.
Oh, well, I'm just so proud of you. And I have to say, the way that Juliette competed at Miss South Florida Fair, she's always been amazing. You know, I've known her for years now, but the way that she competed at Miss South Florida Fair was just incredible. Like, I've never seen you've always just exuded such confidence, and you've always been so poised, but it was, I mean, just to a whole new level. So I'm just so excited to see what else comes from you at Miss Florida this year.
She was actually, Mariluz was actually, she arrived even early she waited through all our interviews, which is like a 4 to 5 hour wait. So thank you. And I was freaking out, and I was like, the interview queen is here. I'm blessed. I'm blessed now. Her aura has saved me, and her mom was there too. And
she was.
Her mom is, I like her a little bit more than Mariluz, but anyway. So now I want to talk about FAU. I watched you, you know, reporting on the sidelines as a sports reporter. I know you did everything, but you did mainly baseball. Am I right in saying that? Right. Okay. Totally. And as you know, I'm a bigger FAU fan than I used to be. So I want to know, what was that experience like? I know you were the reporter of the year, which is, I want to know how you decided, because you originally were majoring, you finished off with criminal justice and communicative studies.
Yeah, so I started with criminal justice as my major. I switched to communication studies with a minor in criminal justice because I already had so many credits in it, even though I originally wanted to be a prosecuting attorney. And so, hey guys, I'm doing an interview. Yeah, thanks. Okay. Love you.
Mariluz. I love Mariluz's entire family. I'm obsessed.
Right. Yeah, I know. The whole family.
I've asked them to adopt me. I haven't gotten an answer yet. Holding out hope. Anyway.
Yes, my mom said yes. Amazing. Welcome to the family. Juliette Cook. We love it.
You don't know how much that means to me, and you know why.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so sorry. Let me start over. Before I was rudely interrupted. So, kidding. XOXO, love the family. Okay. So, so yes, so I was covering baseball, and okay, I kind of lost track of what we were talking about. Okay, criminal justice. Yes. I thought that I would. That's where
we always get off track like this. It's like
all over the place. Juliette, you hyped me up too much with interview, and now I'm like, whoa. Okay, so prosecuting attorney, right? So I thought I wanted to be a prosecuting attorney, did an internship, was going to homicide trials every day. I was like, maybe this is not for me. This is not what I want to do. So then I ended up doing an internship for FAU Athletics, and I was just doing marketing stuff for them. And then that turned into me serving as the on-camera host for all of FAU Athletics, doing all of our promotional videos. I was asked to do that by Ryan Moran. Shout out to him, my mentor, and the reason that I'm doing what I'm doing. Amazing. So then he actually moved on to a different position at one point, and so I had to start reporting on my own and producing my own content on my own. And so then that was when I joined Owl TV as a sports reporter, covered FAU baseball, traveled over 4,000 miles all over the state to Biloxi, Mississippi, covering them. And it was so much fun. I was so thankful for that. And it was during that season that I really realized that I could make a career out of this. And the reason why I ended up with a double major is because I wanted to stay at FAU an extra semester because I was going to be graduating in the I guess the fall. Okay. So I was gonna be graduating in the fall. So I stayed an extra semester and took on a double major so that I could cover FAU baseball.
Smart.
I could graduate like in time because I was gonna be graduating early. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. She graduated Magna Cum Laude and was going to graduate early, but decided she wanted to stay an extra semester. I don't know of anybody who wants to stay extra at school, but Mariluz.
Well, I wanted to get more sports reporting experience because I realized my dream a little bit later than some others. So I was like, let me do this. I'm still graduating on time, and it was so worth it. I'm so glad that I did that.
She was going to graduate early, decides to stay extra, graduates with honors, reporter of the year. Okay. You guys see how I'm not unprofessional. That's why I had to write it down. Okay, because it's like accomplishment after accomplishment. She's too humble. I was like, Mariluz, is that everything? And she's like, I think that's it. I was like, okay. So now you're at the Big Sky Conference in Utah. And that story to me is pretty amazing with all the jobs you applied for. I really want to hear that journey. So please tell everybody.
For sure. So I graduated in May of 2019 from FAU. Took the summer off.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Crazy.
You're so young.
I know, I am really young. 23. So I graduated from FAU May of 2019, almost a year ago. Still can't believe that. It's so crazy. It feels like yesterday. But took the summer off because I was competing for Miss Florida. So I knew I wasn't going to apply for any jobs or anything during the summer. I compete. After that, I do some traveling with my family. Great. So I want to say about September is when I really started to get into my job search. I applied for 72 jobs total. And, you know, being in sports broadcasting, I was like, I will go wherever the opportunity is. I did end up getting a few different offers, but out of all the jobs I applied for, honestly, the position I got is the one that I least expected to get, which is how I knew. It was my number one choice. So I remember there was this one job that it was a good job, but it wasn't like exactly what I wanted to be doing. And it was like the day that I needed to let them know whether or not I was going to accept it. And I was like, God, just give me a sign if I'm not supposed to accept this job. And I got a call from the Big Sky Conference. My now boss was like, hey, are you available to do a Skype interview next week? I was available to do a Skype interview next week, obviously. So I ended up turning down the other job just in faith. And I did have a couple other options. So it wasn't like totally dumb, but I was like, okay,
risky for your number one.
It was a little risky, but I did do that. And then I finished my Skype interview and I'm like, okay, like, I think that was good, but, I'm sure there's a lot of other, like, very qualified people. And then they flew me out, like, a few weeks later, and I was like, okay, this is happening. And I got offered the job. And I never would have been like, oh, I'm going to move to Utah and live in Salt Lake City. That was never a place that I really thought about living. But just being in sports broadcasting, you have to go wherever the opportunity is.
Beautiful Utah.
It is so beautiful. I love my life there, and I'm so thankful for my job. Every single day, I get to do exactly what I love. And so I really feel so fulfilled and just so thankful. I can't believe that I get to start my career off there. So I'm so thankful.
And when Mariluz came back from the Southport affair, I was talking to her about living in Utah. And Mariluz is like a supermodel here. You're like 5'9", and you're just a model in general. I mean, look at her. Look at those earrings.
Yeah.
Just a little
something fun for the quarantine today.
Like, we're so subtle in a lockdown, like big dangly earrings. But in Utah, everyone thinks Mariluz is a supermodel. She's just like strutting down the street, and they're all like, she's a celebrity. So Mariluz is thriving.
Julia, I need to put you in my pocket and just have you throw these nice compliments out.
Please take me to Utah with you.
Come visit me anytime.
I want to live there. Anyway, I'm Mariluz the stalker. People are gonna think I have like a fan page for you. I don't yet.
I would make one for you.
We should have a joint account. Wow.
Love that for us.
But so 72 jobs. You got your number one, and you trusted in God, which, another thing I admire about you is your faith. We both are very religious, and you bring God into everything you do. You always remember to thank God. You're very devout, and I love that. And you accredit a lot of your success to him. And you had to have trusted in him so much to take that risk, because although you did have other positions, a lot of different companies wanted you, it was a big risk giving one of the ones that you found potentially interesting up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I mean, I would totally agree with that. And I mean, God gave me so much peace throughout my job search, and I'm really thankful, especially for my mom. You know, my mom's gotten a lot of love today, but I mean, I have to thank her because there were so many moments where I got discouraged or whatever, and she would always just remind me that number one, I'm so young. She's like, Mariluz, you're really young, and you just graduated. She's like, you need to calm down. Don't stress about this job.
You had that hustle though. Right after graduation, you were out there.
I tried. Which, by the way, I wish people would talk about that more, because I really was like so discouraged for a while during my job search, and people don't talk about what it's like to look for a job after graduation and to not have that structure of school anymore. It's crazy. It's so different. So anyway, thankful for my mom who kept my head on straight. Thankful for the good Lord, because I'm telling you, he gave me so much peace throughout my job search. And to move across the country, like, I'm half Cuban, right? Okay, so let me tell you, like, that is not something that is not something that I thought I'd be doing. Like, you know, like, you're Cuban, like, that's just not the culture, right? Like, you don't just like move away from your family.
Just like leave your family.
Yeah, right. Like,
I live like a 5-minute drive, and my Latino father's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like,
exactly. I know. So it's like, for God to give me that peace to accept this job that's so far away and in totally uncharted territory, and for him to also give my family that peace too, that he is going to protect me, and that he had this job picked out for me. It's just something I'm so thankful for. So yes, like, I accredit any success that I have had or ever will have to Jesus. So
yes, miss. Yeah. Correct. You know, like you said, moving across the country isn't easy. But you did it with such grace, and you did it with a lot of bravery, because that's not easy. You know, I say you're my idol, and we were sister queens when I was a teen and you were a miss, but in reality, you're not that much older than me. I graduated high school when you graduated college, so that's 4 years. That's really not that big of a difference, but yet you inspire me so much. And, you know, I really admire your hustle. I want to look for a job right after graduation. I mean, because although we have very different career paths, I'm in theater, I have to audition for job after job, and I'm going to get rejected by a lot, but there's going to be that one that I really want. And maybe with just hard work and just maybe God will grant me that job. But you had so much faith, and I admire that a lot, because it's not always easy.
Thank you.
And, you know, shout out to your family, your mom, your whole family is amazing. And they are awesome. And actually her mom during the Southport affair visited and took pictures of me when my mom couldn't be there because of work. So
I was at work receiving pictures of Juliette, and I was like, what is this? I'm so jealous.
I know, we had like parade photos in the back, and we were like, wish you were here. We really miss you. Like, we were like,
you.
We were like canoodling. We were like, but so my show is called The Silver Lining, and at the end of every episode, I want to ask, you know, what is the silver lining of this situation? So I want to know, what is the silver lining of your affiliation with pageantry? Like, what do you find positive about your experience?
Yeah, there's two things I really want to touch on. Number one is the relationships that I have built and formed, like the friendship that I found in you and in so many other women in this organization.
Congratulations. Shout out.
I cannot say enough what it's like to compete alongside of women like you, to meet other women who are so like-minded, because let me tell you, pageant people, I guess now competition people, we are a special breed. Like, I don't know a lot of people that are like us. The drive that we have, the way that we pursue our goals, it's very similar. And so to have, even though like we're in different career paths, right? Like pursuing different things, iron sharpens iron, and to have other women alongside you to go through life with, to encourage you, to build you up, that is so significant. I've made some of my very best friends within this organization. I mean, it is just so special. In addition to that, I want to talk about just what pageants do for you. So like, I look back at who I was at 18 years old, and I'm like, oh my goodness, little Mariluz. Like, I don't even think that she could have believed that I would be doing the things that I'm doing today. Like, it's crazy. I wouldn't have the career that I have today if it wasn't for pageants. I genuinely don't think that I would have learned perseverance any other way than through pageants. I mean, pageants really just taught me something special about persevering and about making myself better. So I'm just really thankful for that, and for you, and just for this organization and all it does for women.
I actually could not agree with you more about both of those things. You know, when I first watched Miss America with Betty Cantrell, Miss Georgia, who became Miss America 2016, I saw her and I was like, she was so educated, so beautiful, so talented. I was like, I want to be like that. And then, you know, when I went into it locally, I realized there are girls like that in my own community. And, you know, this is kind of a blanket statement, but a lot of the role models in our pop culture today, there's a lot of scandals, there's a lot of things that they do that aren't exactly within, you know, my line of faith or in moral code. But the girls in the Miss America organization are nothing short of inspiring and class acts. And you know, like I said, I met Mariluz, and I have two big sisters, but they're older than me and they are in Miami with their families and their careers, so I don't live with them and I don't see them all the time, although they are amazing. And Mariluz was that sister for me throughout that whole year. She actually, she was so sweet always. She cried during one of my singing performances, and she came with me to so many appearances. And honestly, you taught me so much about public speaking, and I know you've been an influence on so many people, so maybe you don't remember each instance with me, but I do. And you know, I will always thank you and always remember how kind you are, were and are to me. And also Taylor Tyson, such a huge inspiration, the Miss Southport affair before you. She is such a close friend of yours. She is an idol of mine. It's girls like that that inspire me, and my entire class is incredible. My sister queen right now, Ashley, who is Miss Palm Beach County, is incredible. Your sister queen, Jessica Fernandez, Miss Palm Beach County 2019, amazing. I could say every girl's amazing, so
Seriously, it is amazing.
Every single girl.
Like, the friendships that you make through this organization are totally unparalleled.
Yes.
Totally unparalleled. And,
you know, you told me a story about how I asked you last interview, when your hands shake, when you play piano, when you're nervous, when you're warm, and Aliyah Manning came up to you and gave her blanket to warm both of your hands before
it was literally the most special moment ever.
She is so sweet.
She is one of my best friends. She is so incredible. I'll never forget meeting her in, I believe it was 2017. I was Miss Boca Raton. Never forget meeting her. And her and I instantly, we just clicked, and we don't see each other that often because she lives in Orlando and I lived in West Palm Beach. I don't anymore, but we didn't see each other that often, but it was like those moments that we were together. It's just one of those friendships that it's just totally unparalleled. And I'll never forget that moment. We were both in the finals, both pianists, and being backstage together. It's freezing backstage at Miss Florida.
It is. It's so cool.
Cuddled up together with the blanket. I remember actually asking Taylor, we were like, Taylor, can you take this photo? And she's like, I have no idea what I'm taking a photo of, but sure. And so we had this photo.
There's so many shout outs. We love you, Taylor.
Love you. Shout out to her. And so having that photo backstage with her, I mean, it's really, the lighting is terrible and everything, but I will literally never forget that moment, being backstage with her, just cuddled up, trying to stay warm, keep our hands warm before we had to go play on stage.
She is so sweet. She actually messaged me because she knows I'm new. This is my first year as a Miss, and she just, you know, extended out her hand and was like, if you need anything, I'm always here. She's just an angel, but all of them are. And like I said, my sister queen, we have such a special bond, Ashley. We went through the Southport Affair together. You know how intense those rehearsals are. I know you went through Miss Southport Affair with Taylor as well. Yeah. And you both were competing, and it bonds you. And these girls not only inspire me, but they motivate me, and they also encourage me to be my best self. And I can't explain how many idols I've developed. My other idols also happen to be my friends now that I'm a Miss and I'm old. But I couldn't agree with you more. And also, to touch on what you said secondly, how it helps you mature. I couldn't even public speak to begin with. I remember Children's Miracle Network was doing an event with IHOP, and I had to go, and it was, I think, National Pancake Day, so the pancakes were free, and they still had to collect donations. Yeah. And I was so scared. I couldn't even talk, and everyone knows I talk a lot. It wasn't that I didn't want to talk, because, girl, I can't stop talking. That's the problem. It's getting me to shut up. That's the trick. You know, I was so scared, and then throughout my growth and competing on the Miss Florida stage, I became so comfortable with public speaking, and I'm still growing, I'm still learning, but I can attest to the fact that it has changed me so much. Yeah. And you are one of the main influences in my life. I feel like you're like a sister to me and a best friend, but you are also a queen in my mind. And you better come back to Miss Florida. I will make you. Whether you compete for Miss Florida or Miss Florida.
I will come back to compete somewhere. next year.
Oh, she will. She's going to compete.
I will compete. I will compete.
And like she said,
Don't worry.
her busy job, her big job is going to take her all over the place, and she will come back to Florida and visit me first. So now that we've got that done and over with, Mariluz, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. You're such an inspiration, and I wasn't kidding about having you on for a second time, because this is going to cover half of what I wrote. I wrote actually 25 questions for Mariluz.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, let's tackle them. Next time, let's do it. I'm so serious. I can't wait.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, guys. I will put Mariluz's social media links down below. Please follow her. Keep up with her journey. She advocates for her platform. She's a queen. She has a big corporate job in Utah with all these professional team. Guys, you don't want to miss it. Mariluz, tell them they'd be crazy to miss it.
They'd be crazy to miss it.
Shameless plug. All right, Mariluz, I love you so much. Shout out to Mariluz's mom. I think she's still in the back. Oh my gosh, I love her so much. I love her so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.